Hello, a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin with this morning's headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi wraps up his two-day visit to Bangladesh, lauds Land Boundary Pact and assures resolution on Teesta issues soon. RJD-JDU alliance back on track for Bihar Assembly polls. Parties announced decision to contest as allies, but still no decision on chief ministerial candidate. Despite India's objection, Pakistan is set to hold polls in Gilgit-Balochistan region today. All key parties, including Pak Prime Minister's PMLN, are in the fray for the 24 seats. In a blow to Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, plans to extend his Kaz ruling AK party fails to garner majority in parliamentary elections for the first time in 13 years. And Switzerland's Stan Wawrinka stuns world number one Novak Djokovic to win the French Open men's singles final. At our focus on the bulletin this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi returned home late last night, wrapping up his two-day visit to Bangladesh. Before leaving, Modi touched upon the key elements of his visit, including the crucial Land Boundary Pact and Teesta water issue. He praised Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's stand of zero tolerance on terrorism. India and Bangladesh also released a joint declaration at the end of Prime Minister Modi's visit. Here's more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi ended his maiden visit to Bangladesh with his address to the Indian diaspora in Dhaka yesterday. In the hour-long speech, Modi praised Bangladesh's assurance to tackle terrorism in the region. He said the world did not need expansionism but development.
ये मेरा एक प्रकार से इस यात्रा का आखिरी कार्यक्रम है, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि सचमुच में अब यात्रा शुरू हो रही है.
Earlier on a day packed with engagements, Modi received Bangladesh's Award of Liberation War Honour on behalf of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The award came a day after India and Bangladesh ratified their 4-decade-old land boundary agreement that has been widely hailed by the Bangladeshi media as a watershed moment in the relations between the two countries.
भारतवासियों के लिए गौरव का पल है, जिस महापुरुष ने अपना संपूर्ण जीवन देश की सेवा में खपा दिया और राजनीतिक दृष्टि से मेरे जैसे लाखों कार्यकर्ताओं के लिए वे प्रेरणा मूर्ति रहे. ऐसे मां भारती के सपूत भारत रत्न श्रीमान अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी को आज बांग्लादेश सम्मानित कर रहा है.
Modi also held talks with Bangladeshi President on matters of bilateral and regional importance. The two leaders also reviewed progress on the ongoing development projects carried out by India in Bangladesh. The two countries have decided to establish power transmission link.
With this historic visit, I think we are taking the relationship one step ahead, and it's cooperation 360 degrees.
And our Prime Minister agreed in principle to Bangladesh's proposal, to consider Bangladesh's proposal to allow import from India to Bangladesh of additional power in a phased manner through construction of an additional grid interconnection on the western side of Bangladesh.
Modi's jam-packed itinerary on Sunday included a visit to the newly constructed Indian High Commission's Chancery in Dhaka. Modi inaugurated the Chancery complex and interacted with the delegates. He also visited the Ramakrishna Mission, where he took part in special prayers with a group of monks. With inputs from Arfa Khanam Shermani, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh is former diplomat Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar. Ambassador, thank you for joining me on the program this morning. The land border agreement is finally in place. No resolution on the Teesta water river sharing, but how would you look at Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh?
It has been termed as a historic visit. and I would tend to go along with that description. I think the Prime Minister himself, in his address to the Bangladesh Intelligentsia, Bangladesh at Dhaka University last evening, he himself said that this agreement should not be taken as one where there has been an exchange of a few kilometers there and a few kilometers. It is a coming together of hearts. That is how he termed it. And I think I would go along with that very much, because basically if you look at the problems and difficulties that India, as the largest member of the SAARC grouping, has been experiencing with its neighbors, all of which are much smaller in size, in population, territory, economy, etc., etc. India in that sense has a very dominating presence in this region. The basic problem in relations with our neighbors has been the trust deficit.
Indeed,
yeah.
indeed.
And so I think this visit, and particularly the signing of this agreement, ratification of this agreement by the Indian Parliament after 41 years since it was initially signed between Mrs. Indira Gandhi and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, I think this demonstrates to Bangladesh, it demonstrates to the SAARC countries, it demonstrates to the region and to the world that India is willing to walk the talk and is very serious about strengthening its relations with its neighbors.
Apart from LBA and Teesta, what do you think were the other significant takeaways from this two-day visit?
Number of areas. I think the first was connectivity. Connectivity in terms of not only physical connectivity. The Prime Minister, the two Prime Ministers and Mrs. Mamata Banerjee, they inaugurated the bus services from Calcutta via Dhaka to Agartala and also to Guwahati and Shillong. But also in terms of inland waterways, in terms of maritime, in terms of use of Chittagong port, in terms of people-to-people contact, as he said, as the Prime Minister said, promote tourism, not terrorism, and zero tolerance to terrorism. So that is, but also in terms of grid connectivity, power connectivity, what was mentioned that so far India has been supplying 500 megawatt of electricity to Bangladesh. Now we have agreed to increase it to 1000 megawatt. Also supply 100 megawatt from Tripura. The Prime Minister thanked Bangladesh for the fact that they had allowed access to Indian power plant equipment from Chittagong to Tripura, and he also combined the two, that since we are able to generate electricity there, so Bangladesh is also a beneficiary.
Indeed.
So I think that, and he mentioned also about the blue economy, the broadband connectivity. So this connectivity, I think, is going to be a win-win decision agreement. It will help Bangladesh to grow, to create jobs, for its economy to get stronger and better, and it will help India to have better access to the northeast.
Indeed.
And it will help the economic growth of our northeastern states.
Talking about the northeast and northeastern states, in 2011, when the then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh visited Bangladesh, he took along with him all the chief ministers of the northeastern states as well. But this time around, there was just one chief minister accompanying the Prime Minister. Do you think that that was the right move?
I think it was the right move, because I think it gave, so to say, star billing to the Chief Minister of West Bengal. Because if there had been other Chief Ministers, in that sense, the focus, the profiling of Mrs. Mamata Banerjee would have been, in that sense, come down. It gave her star billing, it gave her prominence, and we also need to see both India as such and Bangladesh, that there are other issues that need to be discussed, whether it is Teesta or it is the division of waters. And there, since water is a state subject, the cooperation, collaboration, understanding of Ms. Mamata Banerjee is required by the central government to make this move forward. And the Prime Minister has said it in so many words that he is very confident that this issue will be resolved.
Indeed. All right. We'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us on the program this morning and putting things into perspective for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on now, RJD and JDU will fight the Bihar polls as allies. The seat-sharing formula between them will be finalized by a 6-member committee that has been formed. However, there is still no talk of who will be the chief ministerial candidate, the biggest bone of contention between the two parties. Here's a detailed report.
The RJD and the JDU will fight the Bihar Assembly polls together. Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav found a middle path for the alliance, ironing out differences. A 6-member committee comprising 3 leaders each from the two parties will decide the seat-sharing formula.
आज की इस बैठक में ये निश्चित हुआ है कि आरजेडी एवं जेडीयू की तरफ से 3 सदस्यों की एक समिति सीटों के बंटवारे को तय करेगी तथा दोनों दलों के नेता सीटों को अंतिम रूप देंगे और शीघ्र ही इस कार्यवाही को संपन्न कर लिया जाएगा.
In the meeting, there was no talk of the chief ministerial candidate from the alliance, a bone of contention between the RJD and JDU.
मुख्यमंत्री पद को लेकर जो पूरा गहमा गहमी
कोई गहमा गहमी नहीं है, वो सब बाद में तय हो जाएगा.
होंगे नेता
ये सब अभी कुछ नहीं इस मामले में तय हुआ है, ये सब बाद में तय होगा. अभी केवल सीटों के बंटवारा जो असली चीज थी, जो हडिल था, उस पर निश्चय हो गया है और अब ये तय हो गया कि गठबंधन के आधार पर चुनाव लड़ा जाए.
Earlier in the day, Nitish Kumar met Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi to discuss options for an alliance in the state.
तो हमारा पहले से क्लियर स्टैंड है कि हम सब गैर भाजपाई पार्टियों को एक मंच पे लाना चाहते हैं और उसमें कांग्रेस एक बहुत बड़ी अहम शक्ति है. तो कांग्रेस से तो मुलाकात हमेशा कार्ड्स पे थी, इसमें कोई ये बात नहीं है कि अभी आरजेडी से डिस्टेंस बना के हम राहुल गांधी जी से मिल रहे हैं या कांग्रेस से बात कर रहे हैं. कांग्रेस से बात करना हमेशा से एजेंडे में था.
We are at a critical stage where very soon we will stitch the alliance with specific program, with a specific agenda.
However, the BJP has been quick to dismiss all opposition.
It seems that all these disgruntled forces who have accepted defeat in Bihar today are trying to regroup to oppose the Bharatiya Janata Party. I think the game is over. The people in Bihar have already decided for a change. And these disgruntled elements of so-called political system in Bihar who are talking about a parivar to oppose the BJP is going to be trounced by the people of the state. And of course, BJP is going to come back to power with a full majority.
Under one of the seat-sharing formulae that has been speculated upon, both RJD and JDU could contest 100 seats each, while 43 could be left for the Congress, CPIM, CPI and the NCP. There are 243 seats in the Bihar Assembly. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's take a look now at what else is making news across the country in our segment Nationwide. Pakistani army violated the ceasefire along the line of control in the frontier district of Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir late last evening. Pakistani army fired several rounds towards the Indian army position in Balakot sector along the line of control. The firing triggered explosions of several landmines on the border. However, there are no reports of any casualties on either side. Controversy plagues Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu as he completes 1 year in office today. He was implicated in a cash forward scam in an audio tape which purportedly has Naidu's conversation with nominated MLA Elvis Stephenson. However, Naidu's government strongly denied the reports, saying that the tapes were fabricated. The IIT Madras has reinstated a student group whose de-recognition or criticism of Prime Minister Narendra Modi had triggered a controversy recently. The institution also appointed a professor as its faculty advisor, bringing an end to the more than a week-long standoff. APSC and Dean of Students expressed satisfaction that the matter has been closed. Moving on now, after scripting history with the low-cost Mars mission, ISRO is now geared up for the crucial blackout phase of the satellite. Starting today till the 22nd of this month, the mission will enter its blackout phase where the sun will block Mars from the Earth, snapping all communications with the satellite. The mission during this period will go into an autonomous mode and will take its decisions. ISRO officials expressed confidence that they will be able to regain control over the satellite once the blackout phase is over. They say that the scenario has been tested for earlier and all lines of communications will be re-established. The mission will have to go through a similar phase once again in May next year if there is an extension of the mission's life. Well, after declaring it safe, Goa has now become the 11th state to ban Nestle's instant noodle brand Maggi. Chief Minister Lakshmikant Parsekar announced the ban, keeping in view a similar measure taken by various other states, though Maggi samples tested by Goa's health regulator did not find any harmful contents in them. Several states including Delhi, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Maharashtra have banned sale of Maggi noodles. In more trouble for Nestle, the government may seek damages from the company, dragging it to the Consumer Court for unfair trade practices and misleading advertisements. Well, let's take a look now at what's lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. The Supreme Court will resume hearing arguments on the constitutional validity of the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act. The 5-judge Constitution bench headed by Justice J.S. Kehar had rejected the centre's plea that the petitions against the NJAC be referred to either a 9 or 11 judges bench. It had also rejected Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi's suggestion that the matter be heard next month after the summer vacation. The bench had clarified that the issue relating to the challenge to the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act 2014 can be referred to a larger bench at a later stage if required. With assembly elections in Bihar likely to be held later this year, the Election Commission is dispatching 4 special teams of auditors to the state for weeding out duplicate entries from electoral rolls. The 4 teams comprising 6 officers each are part of the Commission's newly set up Regulatory Audit Division, and Bihar will be their first assignment. The full-fledged budget session of the Kerala Assembly will begin today. Sources say that it is likely to be rescheduled in view of the Aruvikara Assembly by-poll. The Business Advisory Committee meeting today would take a final decision. The 750-meter stretch of Delhi Metro's ITO station will be inaugurated by the Delhi Chief Minister and the Urban Development Minister and will be thrown open to the public today. The ITO Metro station is one of the more awaited stations of the Delhi Metro in Phase 3. The station is expected to take some of the surface traffic off the ITO intersection. Part of the Heritage Line, the station is followed by stations in Delhi Gate, Jama Masjid, Red Fort and Kashmiri Gate. Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come. The Greek economic crisis is on the agenda at the ongoing G7 summit. That and much more on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
आजादी के बाद कैसे बदला परिवेश, कैसे बनी संसद, कैसे उठा देश।
When the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
कौन थे वो लोग जो दे गए हमको शानदार विरासत, लोकतंत्र की मजबूत इमारत। राज्यसभा टेलीविजन।
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Pakistan is holding elections in the Gilgit-Balochistan province today. All major political parties are in the fray for the polls that India has called an eyewash. Here's more.
The election in Gilgit and Baltistan on June 8, under the so-called Gilgit-Baltistan Empowerment and Self-Government Order, is an attempt by Pakistan to camouflage its forcible and illegal occupation of the regions.
India strongly objecting to Pakistan's decision to hold elections in Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. New Delhi underlining that Kashmir is an integral part of India.
India's position is well known. The entire state of Jammu and Kashmir, which includes the regions of Gilgit and Baltistan, is an integral part of India.
But elections will be held today in the region for their legislative assembly. A public holiday has been announced in the region for the polls being held in 24 constituencies. With 268 contestants in the fray, tough competition is expected between candidates of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Pakistan People's Party and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. The army has been deployed in the region for the vote. Pakistan has termed India's objection to the poll an interference in their internal affairs. In fact, their Army Chief General Rahil Sharif has gone on to say that Kashmir is an unfinished agenda of partition. Experts are terming these polls a sham.
It's a farce election. It's a camouflage to perpetuate its occupation. It should be condemned. They should know that this is an occupied territories. It is a part of Jammu and Kashmir, and it's a very strategically located region, of Gilgit-Baltistan, Hunza and Nagardi.
Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has already announced creation of 4 new districts in the region and a slew of projects ahead of elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And some more international news now. In Turkish elections, the ruling AK party has lost its parliamentary majority for the first time in 13 years. The result is a blow to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's plans to boost his office powers. With 99% of the vote counted, the AKP has 41% of the vote, a result which will leave it struggling to form a stable government. Here's a detailed report.
Bilge adam Ahmet Davutoğlu geliyor.
Unpleasant surprise was in store for Turkey's ruling AK party in the parliamentary elections. The party failed to gain an outright majority for the first time since 2002. With 99% of the votes counted, the ruling AK party has won 41% seats, down from nearly 50%. With 99% of the votes counted, the ruling AK party has won 41% seats, down from nearly 50%, which is secured during the last national elections in 2011. Prime Minister Davutoglu appeared to have accepted defeat when he addressed his supporters midway through the counting.
Vatandaşlarımız bugün görevlerini yaptılar. Oylarını kullandılar. Hepsine hürmet ediyoruz. Onların iradesi her şeyin üstündedir. Biz kendi değerlendirmemizi yapacağız.
Securing around 1/4 of the total votes, the secularist Republican People's Party has emerged as the second largest party. The minority pro-Kurdish HT party has also secured 10% of the seats for the first time. Both the parties ruled out a coalition with the AK party, making it difficult for them to form a stable government.
13 yıldır gittikçe baskıcı bir yönetim anlayışına dönüşen iktidar, bugün itibariyle sandıkta millet tarafından düşürülmüştür.
İktidar partisinin devletin bütün olanaklarını arkasına alarak yürüttüğü bir kampanya bir taraf saldırıya karşı, bizler Türkiye'nin ezilenleri olarak
President Erdogan, who first came to power as Prime Minister in 2003, has been seeking a 2/3 majority to turn Turkey into a presidential republic. The result will blow his plans to boost his office's powers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, the ongoing G7 summit in Germany's Bavarian Alps discussed the troubles facing the Greek government and the global economy. Rebuking Greece of only creating challenges, EU urged swift proposals to avert looming deadline and a bigger economic crisis. The leaders also discussed of more sanctions against Russia for its role in the Ukraine conflict.
The 2-day G7 summit in Germany has been dominated by the ongoing Greek debt crisis. In a meeting ahead of the talks, US President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel agreed that it is crucial for Greece to accept reforms in exchange for the final bailout package and avert a major international economic showdown.
It was important for Greece and their partners to chart a way forward that builds on crucial structural reforms and returns Greece to sustainable long-term growth.
But European Commission President Juncker criticized the Tsipras government. He accused the Greek PM of distorting proposals by international creditors and urged him to put forward constructive alternative proposals to allow negotiations to make headway this week. With time running out for a debt deal and Greece struggling to meet its payment obligations, relations between Athens and its European and IMF lenders have turned increasingly raw.
Ich hoffe, dass diese griechischen Alternativvorschläge uns in Kürze
zugestellt werden, sodass wir alle Bedingungen zusammen hätten, die es uns erlauben würden, am Rande des Lateinamerika.
The meeting also focused on the continued fighting in Ukraine and the sanctions against Russia. This is the second summit of the leaders excluding Russia. The European Council President Donald Tusk said the group would prefer to have Russia be a part of the summit, but it was difficult in the present scenario, as its actions in Ukraine are counter to the values of the group.
Given the current situation, if anyone wants to start a debate about changing the sanctions regime, the discussion could only be about strengthening it.
EU economic sanctions on Russia imposed over the Ukraine conflict are due to expire in July. EU leaders agreed in March that the sanctions would stay until the Minsk ceasefire agreement is fully implemented, effectively extending them to the end of the year, but a formal decision has yet to be taken. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at what else is making news across the globe in our segment, World Wrap. Egypt's foreign minister hosted a meeting with Algeria and Italy to discuss the Libyan security crisis. The leaders discussed ongoing bilateral efforts as well as the significance of restoring security and stability and supporting a political resolution in the country. They also discussed means to confront terrorism and illegal immigration and supporting the formation of a national government. Mexico voted in its midterm elections amid violent protests to elect new leaders in 9 out of 31 states. Attention was unusually high this time as a loose coalition of radical teachers' unions and activists vowed to disrupt the polls. Candidates have been murdered by drug gangs battling for control of trafficking routes, while militant teachers opposed to education reforms have threatened to sabotage voting stations in southwestern Mexico. According to the latest update from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Blanca has weakened to a Category 1 storm as it approached Mexico's Baja California peninsula. Furthering weakening is expected by tonight. However, the hurricane is expected to produce total rainfall of 6 to 10 inches over much of Baja California, including the possibility of life-threatening flash floods and mudslides. Moving on to some sports news now. Stan Wawrinka stunned Novak Djokovic to win his first French Open title. He brought an end to Djokovic's 28-match winning streak as he claimed his second Grand Slam title. Djokovic failed to earn a career Grand Slam and enter an elite club of 8 who have achieved the feat. Here's more.
Switzerland's Stan Wawrinka defied the odds to win the French Open men's singles on Sunday against world number 1 Novak Djokovic. Djokovic was hoping to earn the fourth major title, the French Open, after 2 failed attempts earlier. But Wawrinka stunned the Serbian, handing him his third defeat in 3 Roland Garros finals. This was only the second Grand Slam title for Wawrinka after the Australian Open last year.
This one is really special for sure. Playing Novak here in final, the number 1 player, almost winning everything since the beginning of the year. And especially the way I played and the way I finished the match, the way I was focused all the match, the way I changed the momentum. I think
Djokovic started the final on a positive note, winning the first set, but was no match to Wawrinka in the next 3 sets. After beating 9-time French Open champion Rafael Nadal in the semi-finals, Joker had started the final as the favourite, but he admitted Wawrinka was the worthy winner at the end of the day.
You know, I don't think that's fair to Stan. I don't think that's fair to sit here and whine about now what has happened. Certainly, those 2 matches were very big. In terms of physical demand and mental, emotional as well. But still, I was today feeling pretty fresh as much as I could. I mean, I was ready to go out and fight, and I've done so. Maybe in some important moments I didn't feel I had that explosivity in the legs, but look, in the end of the day, he was just a better player, and there is no reason to find some excuses why this happened.
Wawrinka's success at the Roland Garros makes him only the second Swiss to win the French Open after Roger Federer, the man he beat in the quarterfinals. He also dashed the hopes of Djokovic to complete a career Grand Slam in Paris. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Have a nice day.